Thank you very much, Tanja. You just said that women are welcome to do business in Germany, and maybe a fact that is interesting to our audience is that Germany introduced quotas, for example, for supervisory boards already in 2014, and for women executives for listed and state-owned companies in 2021. So when it comes to legislation, we are a leader, but when we look at the list that the Global Summit of Women published yesterday, Germany only has one company, which is Bayer, on the top 10 list of companies with highest percentage of women board directors. And also we rank 8th on the list when it comes to female board directors. The quota in Germany is 34.4%. So, Elga, what do you think? What is still the biggest hindrance for women and for German business to get to 50-50? Because the legislation is in place, and as Tanja said, companies are developing programs. So why aren't we at 50-50 yet?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And Tanja Gonner mentioned Katharina Reiche, the current economics minister. She's only the second woman in the job. I'm the first woman in my job, interestingly. So things are moving along, but they are moving along relatively slowly. I think one of the reasons is that you lack a pipeline of talented women that have already acquired along their career path the necessary experience. That brings me to the one fact that we have. Women do work in Germany, so we have an almost equal sort of participation in the workforce, but a lot of women work part-time, and not just for the few years where you might have small preschool children at home, but usually for the rest of their lives. And that is for a variety of reasons, cultural, the lack of childcare facilities, but also certain tax incentives and how the social security system works, that makes it, at least at first sight, unattractive to be the second income earner in a family, because you have a much higher marginal tax rate than your husband, because on his payslip, all the tax breaks for the whole family go. So it looks as if you're making a lot less money than you actually do. And that, unfortunately, means that once you are on the part-time track, you don't get the necessary experience, and your career progression slows materially down. And one of the striking statistics, which I mean is more a look back than the current situation, but I think it's still worth remembering, there's something called in the academic literature the motherhood penalty, which is basically how much less you earn as a woman that has one or several children relative to another woman who basically kept working full-time. And in Germany, 10 years after the first child is born, that penalty is 60%. So a mother earns 60% less than a childless woman who kept working, who pushed her career ahead. And that is a combination of working part-time. So you earn less because you work fewer hours. But a considerable part is also the gender pay gap that Tanja mentioned.
Just to give you the numbers here, I checked them yesterday, 49% of working women work part-time in Germany. That was the number for last year. And if you compare that to men, it's only 12%, so that's a huge disparity. We have heard about the cultural aspect to this. At the same time, diversity programs in Germany have also been quite popular the last couple of years. What do you see there, Tanja? Because we see some things happening in the US where companies are being forced to maybe stop their diversity programs. Does that have any influence also on the local programs here in Germany?
Well, thank you so much. And I think you always have to have in mind that we have some different legal regulation. So the regulation in the US looking at the diversity is really different to what we have in the European Union. And I don't see that the companies are really changing within Germany and within Europe. They try to find a common ground, I will say, and be really in a strong contact how to deal with the challenges in the US, looking at these diversity programs, but they are doing their programs within Germany and also within in Europe as they planned before. And that I think is very courageous, because it shows that they understand that we need the diversity, and only diversity can really give a push forward in a lot of discussions. I give you the example at the beginning. It was quite interesting for me leading the GIZ, the German Development Agency. There we were near to 50-50 in the board. We were around 55 to 54 on the second level. And it was quite interesting. Sometimes we have assessment only with women. And then I asked the psychologist, who was a man, I need his man view, because I had some questions and I was not sure with my perspective if this was the only right perspective, and I asked him to give me his view to the discussions. And I think I'm really convinced that we need the diversity, because we have different perspectives, and only bringing the different perspectives together we will do the right things. And to talk about that, to showcase that this really brings much more success, I think, is what we also always have to do. Not only talk about, but also show the success.
Before we open up the session for you guys, I just want to ask you, Elga, because some German companies, one of the biggest tech companies we have stopped their global diversity programs. What signal does this send to the world if German companies stop their diversity programs just to be competitive, let's say, in the US?
I mean, I think Tanja, to some extent, already spoke about that. They're trying to find a common ground in the US to basically stay out of the crosshairs of some of the more random elements of US politics. But I think at the end of the day is what matters what they do. And I think there is now a very deep understanding that you need diversity in teams to really deal with an increasingly complex world. And in Germany, we have the additional need to really sort of deal with an aging demography. And so there are two elements, two or three. One is obviously encourage older workers to work longer, to stay on, maybe even beyond the official pension age. The other one is to the highly educated women who also have experience, but at the moment choose to work part-time, to incentivize them to go full-time. And then skilled immigration. So in a way, I think, away from the headlines of XYZ program, the economic need is there, and that's why things will be changing. And so I'm quite hopeful, because we cannot do this without women.
I see. Does anyone in the audience have a question? If you do so, and we really hope that you do, please raise your hand. There are mics on the floor, and someone will come to you. And we would like you to ask you to just stand up, maybe introduce yourself, and please say to whom you want to address your question. I see a hand over there. Oh, we are lining up. So here's a mic and there's a mic. Okay, thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Zoe Lange. I come from the company Orgatex, and I want to direct my question to Elga. It's regarding the question more or less that you made to her, the first question. I, as a woman, I am a software engineer. I work directly in the digitalization sector. I work full-time, and I have a concern. I belong to the millennials, I don't know, this generation, and I think there is still a conflict, a generation conflict, and this is concerning me a lot. I am also a mother. I work full-time, all the time, to more or less get a level in the family, and I understand very well what you explained. Anyway, I think there is still a problem with how we canalize the information to women that they go more in the business. For example, in my case, I started to go to my study to make an MBA or to be more in the leadership positions in my company as a woman and working in the technology field. Anyway, I confront a lot of impediments that make me make this step. It's a huge step with 2 children, with all these parents that I have to take care, working full time, and there is still not enough support, I feel, not enough knowledge to the women outside, young women, to make the step. I understand the government is doing a lot to support all of these women, but the information is not arriving. The women need to have the courage and first to make the step. And then there is a huge wall and a lot of talented women are just making a step back because they don't find support. And I would like to hear from you maybe what another perspective for maybe young women here, also German women that want to make also this kind of steps. Thank you very much.
Thank you for raising a very important point. I think one aspect is we need role models. We need to make them visible. There are female business leaders, very impressive women in parliament, in businesses and so on, but sometimes they are not visible enough. And I think this is why events like this one are important, because you see more role models and can network better about common challenges, but you also see that others are struggling. And so I think information is an important part, but it needs to be organic through networking, through role models. And obviously these are changes that don't happen overnight, but I would encourage everybody to push for this. And it is quite interesting when you look internationally, because different countries have very different norms. And I've, for 25 years, lived abroad, so I only recently came back to Germany, but I can tell you that the conversations around motherhood and career goes very differently in France or Spain than it would go here. And this is, I think that shows you that it is possible, and is also different in the UK, where I used to work. So I think over time it changes, and the more international the environment is, the quicker we get there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I guess we are taking, okay.
Good evening, my name is Fariza, I'm from Malaysia. And this question I would like to ask to Dr. Elga. I wanted to ask you, it's very interesting to hear about the third phase, which is the restructuring of the social security. And I would like to know more, because when you said about pension, how Germany are going to do it? And it's very interesting because I don't think it's a very politically attractive. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's a big one.
It's a difficult question, which is why it isn't entirely spelled out in the coalition agreement yet. And still, expert commissions will be formed, and intense discussions will surely follow within the government. Essentially, what you're going to do is have people work longer. At the moment, we have on average people retiring before the official pension age. And you also need to make it more attractive for people wanting to stay on longer, which also means that you might need a little bit more flexibility. So maybe people don't want necessarily to continue full-time. Maybe they want to go part-time after reaching the pension age. Maybe they want to take longer holidays and so on. All of these things, I think you need more flexibility, but it can be done, and it's done in a very smart way. Is what the Nordic countries, especially Sweden, have done. But it means moving many different dials within the pension system to encourage people to work longer and thus making the whole system more sustainable.
Thank you very much.
I'm Henryka Bochniarz from Poland, and I was more than happy to hear about the entire package that, let's hope, accelerate the German economy, as Germany is #1 economic partner for us. But I would like to ask you specifically about, the automotive industry, which is the major driver for you, but, we are very close connected. And knowing about the Green Deal regulations, the competition from China, how do you see, the prospects for this industry in Germany? Thank you.
Well, first of all, the automotive sector is the most important industry sector in Germany. And it's clear that we all have the interest that it will be one of the most important sectors in Germany. It's quite interesting if I listen to my president of the Automotive Association, also a woman, if I may say. She always mentioned that there are 100 more cars going to, electric vehicle cars going from Germany to China than coming from China to Germany. Sometimes you got another impression in the discussions you have on the European side. But to be honest, yes, we are in the middle of the transition of this industry. And I think it's clear that transition is not easy. At the same time, we are in discussion with the European Commission about looking at the goals for 2035 or how to achieve this and getting more flexibility. But there, the car industry is in the middle of the discussions. The discussions also are going on with the German government, how to position on the European level, and we try to see the measures a little bit earlier to see if the decisions are going in the right way or if we have to change something. And there we are in the middle of the discussions, but it's clear. First of all, the German automotive industry will be successful in the transition. It is a way which is longer as we thought before. We are fully convinced that we are strong, but there are some issues we have to tackle with, and there we are in the discussion with the Commission.
Thank you, and it is this side this time.
Thank you. My question is to you. My name is Lola. I'm from the UK. I am a university lecturer, but I also have a passion project, and that passion project is for young people. So we support young people in 4 key areas: leadership, employability, entrepreneurship and creativity. And I was very taken aback by what you said about young people. And what I'd like to know is how can we take that conversation forward? How can we support young people? How can we take what we are doing, which is quite successful? We've been running our business since 2008, and we're in other countries. How can we support Germany? That's my question.
And that was a question for whom? You said for you? For me?
Yes.
Well, I think Germany is an aging population, and in a way, youth has become a scarcity, and I think young people really are about to realize that. I think for young people, for the young generation, the workplace and the future prospects are actually quite good. And what needs to happen, in my opinion, is that in many companies, organizations, Germany sometimes tends to be very hierarchical. And we have, at the moment, I think, up to 5 generations at work simultaneously. That also hasn't happened in the past. And so I think we need to start a very considerate conversation amongst each generation and to create workplaces where everybody is felt seen, and where we support each other. I think young people can support the elder generations when it comes to digitization, when it comes to content creation, all these things that older people tend not to know too much about. And younger people need that support to really have a seat at the table and to be heard when they open their discussions. And I think in Germany, to be honest, I'm quite positive about the path for the youth, just because it has become a scarcity, which is not a good thing for our society. I wish we had more young people, and I hope this has answered your question.
One last question from each side.
May I add one more point? It's quite interesting to see we have to talk with each other. The generations have to talk with each other. And it's quite interesting to see that in companies there we have something like reverse mentoring. Because there are issues which is clear that the young generation is much more better than the elder generation. I learned from a young man how to use social media. And to understand the different things. I don't use it quite often, but I understand much more in talking to him, and he explained me how to use it, what does things mean, and I think we have to think much more about something like that.
No, that's okay. So one last question, quick answers.
Hello together, my name is Astrid. I'm from Germany. I'm a leader at Robert Bosch. First of all, thank you so much for these motivational speeches. I have the feeling I need to continue because I am a mom of a 6-month-old baby.
Yay.
And I'm working full-time. I have been only in maternity leave. Maternity leave in Germany is only 8 weeks. And then I was looking for a support because I don't have a family around, and it was just not possible. So my husband said, okay, he will stay at home. So my first advice to everyone is find the right man to marry.
No, it's true. It's true.
That's the first. And the second thing is, and this is my question to both of you, maternity leave is only 8 weeks. And I can tell you, I came back to work and my body's still not recovered. And it's just too less. Are there any discussions to extend this 8 weeks? Because in many countries it's 6 months full paid. In Germany it's just 8 weeks full paid. And then there is no payment if you have a certain amount of money or
income.
Income, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Well, we're still debating because there is something called, if I translate literally, it would be sort of funds for education that you can that you would be eligible to, but it's subject to an income threshold. I know that other countries, for instance, in the UK, they don't necessarily have longer maternity leave, but they allow you to work as long as you like just before the birth, and most mothers then push most of the time sort of post-birth rather than stopping a month before, which I think might be a nice thing to do because it allows you some flexibility, obviously, based on your own circumstances, and also the job that you do. It's probably easier to continue until the day before. If you have an office job, it's much harder if you work an assembly line. But yeah, congratulations on the husband, because that actually is important, that you have a partner that basically also later on pushes you out of the door. You have an important meeting, child is feverish, and somebody who says, go, 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 I have you covered. I think that is super important. But obviously, there's also a role for government policy in this, and also for company policy.
Well, I would like to add that I don't hear anything about discussions about to have longer maternity leave. But that has to do something with the whole system, because after the maternity leave we have, it's quite difficult because it's a very German word, the Bundeserziehungsgeld. And that's normally the ability, but that's what your husband now is taking, the ability to rest a little bit longer. And because having the whole system there is as I oversee the discussions on the political side, there is no discussion about having a longer maternity leave, because thinking always in the system and not only in this, but thinking about the whole idea behind that. So I don't think that we have this discussion, and I don't see that there will be a change very fast in the next few years.
Thank you. But it's up to you to raise it within the company, within your political district, okay? It's up to us sometimes to bring it up. So do so to the right people. Last question.
Okay, thank you. My name is Rose Mangele. I'm from Cameroon. I'm a business owner, and I'm also leading an association of female entrepreneurs. I would like to ask a question to the president of the Federation of German Industries. But I would like to know if I can ask my question in French, because it's my first tongue, and I will well express myself in French.
My French is not as good.
Is it okay?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Commencez.
Ok, je viens du Cameroun et je dirige une association de femmes entrepreneurs, et nous sommes venus en Allemagne avec une ambition. Nous savons que l'industrie allemande a la réputation de fabriquer de très bons produits, peut-être pas les moins chers dans le monde, mais nous savons néanmoins qu'ils sont de meilleure qualité. Nous sommes venus avec l'ambition de nouer des partenariats pour le transfert de technologies de l'Allemagne vers nos pays africains et spécialement le Cameroun. J'aimerais savoir, vous, en tant que président de la Fédération des industries allemandes, quel conseil donneriez-vous à un chef d'entreprise camerounais qui aimerait nouer des partenariats avec une industrie allemande? Merci.
You want to reiterate the question?
Yeah. No, it's fine. Okay, but they will translate into French, so it's no problem. First of all, I will always try to get in contact. I'm not sure if there is an AHK in Cameroon. Do you know that? Because we have some special institutions normally in different countries, which where all the German companies which are there are organized, and also some companies coming from the country. This would be my first answer. The second answer, if you're here in Germany, you should talk to the DIHK. Sorry, it's a quite not easy word, because they are dealing with the AHK, and they also have the structure where you can get in contact with the different companies very directly. So the chambers are very close to the different businesses, and they can support you in getting into contact. Third thing is, I know that we have some, it's called, and it is at the AHK, at the chambers, you have some called ESETS codes. That means they know the different programs in supporting also businesses in coming together, especially coming from African countries to Germany, and to get in contact, and there are some opportunities. So I think there should be a website coming from the Agentur für Wirtschaft und Entwicklung, that means Agency for Economy and Development, where you normally see the different programs, and that could be the right part for you to get in contact.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone. I'm so sorry we have to cut off.